Hello, everybody. For those of you who do not know who I am, my name is Steve Hicks. I'm the Cybersecurity Practice Manager over here at Insight. We make these short videos for the community. A rising tide lifts all ships, and we're just trying to make the world better. We have others too. Take a look at our AI videos or our dev videos, some of our webinars. A lot of great content around here, just trying to make the whole world better. My videos are focused on security and the implications of them. Today's is about vibe coding. Listen, we know it's coming. We know it's already here. You got users in your organization that are using AI models to make their own applications without being developers, without knowing what's really going on behind the code. And we want to use these apps because they're bespoke. They're great for our organization. They're something we need to have or something that will really make life easier. And it's something we can create with low cost, with a lot of different people having a lot of different skills, not necessarily development skills. It's pretty great. The challenge is there are some very significant security vulnerabilities when it comes to vibe coding. And by vibe coding, again, I mean a non-developer user using AI to make an application. Some of these applications are relatively benign, a calendaring application, or a tracking application, or some kind of a minor app to repeat a task, something to that effect. But we also get more aggressive requests. Things like, I would like to plug my financial data into the cloud and I'd like to analyze it with this app that I made. Or I'd like to plug my Salesforce data into this app that I made and then publish it somewhere. And we want to talk in this video about the risks of doing something like that. There are quite a few. The first one, of course, is versioning. I've made an app. I made it on a Tuesday, and it's now a absolutely critical app to my organization that we're relying on. This has the same inherent risk of having any bespoke software, something that was made by, in a real example, a guy on a houseboat who made this absolutely critical inventory tracking app for one of my previous clients in 1994, and they put their entire business on this app. And then he retired. Sometimes he shows up to meetings, sometimes not. The application needed quite a few security, enhancement, and stability fixes that he just wasn't able to provide. Now, I'm not saying AI won't be able to provide those fixes in the future. I am saying if one of your people is just simply making an application, who's going to update it? Who's going to maintain it? Who's going to check it for new versions? Who's going to add new features? Who's going to patch it if necessary? This should be a process that is well defined. If you own an app, it should have a name on it. It should have some kind of executive sponsor, and it should have some policy involved in keeping it up to date. Otherwise, it could either be completely useless and you've wasted your time, or it could be an app you'd learn to rely on very heavily. And then when something needs changing or updating, like a security vulnerability, like a product enhancement, like a stability enhancement, we don't know where to go. There should be a defined process for that. The second thing is a risk assessment and a risk acceptance. So vibe coding is inherently, at the moment, at the recording of this video, and it may not stay the same, mostly reliable. Everyone watching this video at this time knows AI is not perfect. We've seen some significant quality decreases from various vendors, NVIDIA being some, Microsoft being others, where they're clearly using AI to code and the quality of the code has dropped significantly. So if somebody is vibe coding and they're not a developer, it's possible you have vulnerabilities in your code from a security perspective. It's also possible you have stability challenges. And the truth is, very few people in the world, including multi-billion-dollar organizations, can ever really review their code for vulnerabilities, or else the vulnerability patching entire market wouldn't exist. If Adobe and Microsoft and Amazon and Google can't keep vulnerabilities out of their code with their very expensive teams of highly paid developers, the chances that our SMBs with their single developers running an application they created are able to absolutely provide no vulnerabilities in their code is virtually zero. So there's a risk acceptance to be had here for sure. Something where you say, listen, the vulnerability potential, i.e. the risk, and the value we're getting out of this application must match. If we want to plug something into our financial and customer data, publish it to the internet, and make sure that anyone in the world can see it, to save 5 minutes of accounting time, that ROI is probably not worth it. However, if we want someone to have a better task tracking app that stays completely locally on their computer and it saves them 5 hours a week, that probably is worth it. All I'm saying is it is important to have a very specific written and reviewed process owned by an executive sponsor that says if we intend to use vibe coded applications, they are reviewed in this way at this period. You can't just write something and then forget about it for years. That will give you very significant problems. The third and final thing is who has permission to vibe code, right? Not only am I talking about literal loss of productivity of your employees, but also who do you want to be able to actually do that code? And therefore, who is responsible as now part of their job responsibilities for maintaining that code? Ensight is working on a forward deployment engineer as of the recording of this video, and I'm sure as this video is going to be evergreen, this FDE will exist in the future. A combination of the MSP's our technicality and ability to give you some level of review and more assurances beyond a standard user to actually write and support code. And we're trying to do this in a cohesive, co-managed type way. So your team can maybe start helping with the code. We can start with the code. We know who's going to write it. We have a process to maintain it. Ensight can track what apps are deployed. And when, say, a new AI model comes out, think Mythos or Fable, we can run the code through the new model and say, do you find any vulnerabilities? Perfect? No, but better, at least. So please take this not as a don't vibe code, it's terrible, because it's not what I mean. What I mean is if you're going to let people do this, know who owns it, have a process to review it, and make sure it's worth the risk. Probably most of you are going to see this and go, it is worth the risk. I'd love to have my people make themselves slightly more efficient or dramatically more efficient. And that's totally fine. As long as the organization understands if you're going to do something very, very publicly available with very, very sensitive data, there's a very, very high risk. And that risk drops based on accessibility and data sensitivity. I hope this is useful to you. And please, we actually do have the ability to help you define the process, talk to you about the risks you're doing, review the actual deployment methodology from a security standpoint of how risky is this. Reviewing the code itself, that's going to be a bigger challenge for the whole world. I don't think anybody's ever got that done yet. If you'd like to talk to us about that, we'd love this. We know it's coming. We know it's super interesting and important for everybody, and we know there's some very significant efficiency benefits for it. So shoot us a line, talk to your account manager, send me an email. I'd love to talk about this. And until I talk to you again, stay safe out there.